YouTube recently sent out an email inviting content creators to join Brand Connect, which is their internal service for helping content creators make more money in a safe way with brand deals. I've received a handful of requests of people asking me to make a video about Brand Connect, so here we are. We're gonna talk about some things you need to keep in mind when it comes to using this service, and we're gonna talk about some things that will help prevent you from getting kicked out of the program. We're also gonna talk about pricing yourself, the terms you're agreeing to, which is a really important part, so make sure you watch that part. I'm also gonna show you how to connect to YouTube Brand Connect and give you some tips on how to use the built-in media kit once you get connected. And we're starting right now. As I'm sure you're aware, one of the ways that you can make a lot of money over time as a content creator is through brand deals, but they can be risky. So risky, in fact, that some people get hacked and they lose their entire YouTube channels because they downloaded something in the process of thinking they were getting a brand deal. Some creators get scammed or messed with from time to time with brands either not paying or paying them very late. But when it comes to YouTube Brand Connect, they've removed some of the risks of getting brand deals, and they've also removed some of the complication because a lot of content creators don't even know where to get started. This is a good thing, but we're gonna go through some things that you need to be aware of. Some are good and some are not so good. For example, in the contract you're going to agree to get into Brand Connect, in Section 5, the content licensing part of the contract, it says, if you grant an advertiser rights to utilize the content as an advertising asset pursuant to the campaign agreement, you will or otherwise authorize Google to enable, implement, or disable any product features, setting, or tools on your YouTube account necessary to permit advertiser to utilize the content as an advertising asset for the length of time agreed to by you and the advertiser. You also grant the right to share the content, including a raw file of the content with the advertiser. So if you've never done brand deals before, or this just hasn't been brought to your attention if you have, when it comes to the brands that you're working with using your content for other purposes other than publishing it to your YouTube channel, there's usually an extra fee involved with that, or you just work it into the deal if you're working with a company where you're already getting a good deal. But this is where it starts to actually get risky. From that same section, without limiting any of the creator's obligations, the licenses granted by you in this Section 5 includes all necessary rights and consents with respect to any and all third-party intellectual property included in the content, including, without limitation, any performances by audio-visual talent or artists and any rights, including public performance rights, in any musical compositions and or sound recordings in, synchronized with, or that is otherwise part of the content. Not only is that a tongue twister and just difficult to read, but it's also not very clear. Which, as much as I love and advocate for YouTube, is something that they are pretty good at, being not very clear. So I called on ChatGPT to explain to me in simple terms what that meant, and it explained what it meant, which is kind of what I thought it meant, which is, this section of the terms means that when you, as a creator, grant a license to Google for your content, you are confirming that you have all of the necessary permissions related to any third-party intellectual property in your content. This includes things like performances. If your content features performances by other artists or actors, you must have the right to use their performances. Music and sound. If you use any music or sound recordings, you need to have the rights to use them in your content. This includes rights for both the musical composition and the actual recording. Essentially, it's saying that you're responsible for making sure that you have the legal right to use everything in your content, and by granting a license to Google, you're also giving them the right to use this third-party content as part of your video. If Google/YouTube is going to be giving the advertisers that you work with the opportunity to download the raw file of your content and use it in other ways, as long as you agree, this part right here is extremely important, and you gotta listen to this. If you use a music service like Epidemic Sound or any other service like that, there's a really good chance you're probably on the entry-level tier that's probably around $10 a month or so, because you are just publishing content to YouTube and other platforms. The license you have from these services gives you the permission to use their music or sound effects, which Epidemic Sound is great, by the way. I'll put a link to them down in the description. But it gives you the right to use their stuff in your content. However, if a third party, which in this case would be the brands, if they download your video and they use it on their social media platforms or they use it for advertising purposes, you need to have the commercial plan which allows you to publish content for clients, businesses, and use it for digital ads. So if you do one of those deals and you do use music in your videos, just make sure that you have the right rights in order to be able to use it in that particular way. Or as a shameless plug, you can just use the one that my brother and Dee and I created for you called Creator Mix. I'll put a link to that in the description. You can use it in this case without any worries. But you're also gonna need these same permissions for any other assets that you use that you did not create that you have the license to. So for example, if you're using B-roll in your videos that you're getting somewhere, if that place that you're getting it from does not allow you to use it for advertising without paying a higher fee in that particular case, then you shouldn't use those either. But again, to be safe, you need to have commercial rights for any content that you're publishing into Brand Connect just to cover yourself. Now let's talk about section 7, which is fees, payments, and taxes. This section is pretty cut and dry. There's just a little bit that you need to know about here, but it also answers a question that I'm sure you have. And that question is, where do I get paid for this? You are going to get paid for this through your AdSense account once the content has been live on your channel for 30 days. You are also responsible for any extra taxes that you might be responsible for from the additional money that you're gonna make from Brand Connect. And in some cases, YouTube might withhold taxes like they do in some cases when it comes to ads, but they're also doing something pretty cool here. They say that if the campaign agreement is terminated by advertiser or the creator campaign is canceled on the platform before content is publicly posted, but after content is submitted, Google will pay the creator the termination price unless the content or applicable revisions are not submitted by creator within the time period allowed in the applicable campaign agreement, or the content does not comply with the policy agreement set out in section 9 below, which we'll get to in just a second. And as part of this, they state that the termination price is part of the agreement. I think this is a pretty stand-up move by Google, because what's happening here is they're saying that if you get to a certain part in the deal, basically if you've done a lot of work on this and then for whatever reason the brand's being difficult or they pull out or whatever, in that particular case, they're still going to pay you something, and it would be the termination fee. But one thing that is extremely important for you to know is this. If you breach these platform terms or fail to keep content up for the time required by a campaign agreement, Google may charge back or offset amounts paid or payable to you. Google will notify you if any of these circumstances occur and provides details about how you can appeal in accordance with these policies. This is important because if you don't keep the content on the channel for the agreed upon time, then Google can go back in and take that money back from you. This sounds bad, and the way I said it probably makes it sound even worse, but the whole thing with this is you are going to be signing a contract that will tell you how long you need to leave the content on the platform for. You are agreeing to that, so therefore it's your obligation to make sure that you don't accidentally delete it, or to make sure that if you work with somebody or you have anybody managing your channel or anything like that, that they don't delete it. And just in case you're thinking to yourself, of course, why wouldn't I just leave it on the channel? A lot of people delete videos on YouTube for a lot of different reasons. Sometimes a video underperforms and they want to take it down for that reason. And sometimes a video just isn't in alignment with the direction that they want to take the channel in, and then they'll delete it because of that. All kinds of different reasons, but those are just a couple of examples. Now let's move to section 10, removal from the platform. Most of this is normal stuff and nothing to worry about, but there are some things here that I just want to make sure that you know about, just in case you're breezing through the terms as you're going in. Google may remove you from the platform eligibility at its sole discretion if creator fails to respond to 3 or more offers from advertisers to participate in campaigns by accepting or declining on the platform. They'll do the same if the content a creator has made for a campaign has been rejected in 3 or more campaigns. That one, in my opinion, is a little concerning because a lot of the people that are going to be coming into this are going to be people that have never done a brand deal before. And as part of that, the content that they're putting together may or may not be in perfect alignment with 3 brands right out of the gate, which could then cause somebody to get booted off of the platform without really getting much information on why they're getting booted outside of the brand just didn't like the content. So if there's a way for the brands to give any type of feedback so that people can adjust later, then that's not that big of a deal. But if there isn't that, then that's kind of unfortunate that people can get booted just for the sake of the brand saying, hey, you didn't put us in the best light possible, or hey, you forgot to mention these features, so we're just not gonna do it, or whatever the thing is. Hopefully YouTube will have some fail safes there to where you can at least get that feedback so you can know what to do better in the event that you get one turned down. The next one is that they can remove you if the creator fails to fulfill a campaign, which is more than fair, and or fails to respond to 2 or more communications from Google and or advertiser after agreeing to a campaign agreement. And then they say, for clarity, you are not obligated to accept any particular opportunity and are free to decline any offer. Keep in mind, this is all contract language and things that need to be in there in order to make sure that Google and YouTube is protected and that they can do whatever it is that they need to do in order to make sure that advertisers are happy and also to make sure that creators are getting what they're supposed to get and so on. And as another part of this, they are running a professional service here. So brands can go and expect that creators will respond on time, and they can expect that creators will deliver on time and they will deliver quality content when they do and so on. So it's a professional service, and it's our job to make sure that we're handling that side of things professionally, obviously. But once you sign up, you'll get an email that adds a little more clarity when it comes to the expected timeline to stay compliant. The email states it's best to respond within the first week to let the brand know you're interested. And again, that request makes sense. It's just professional courtesy. You have brands that are trying to work with you, and therefore it is your job or part of your job, if you're wanting to work with brands, to make sure that you're responding to them in somewhat of a timely manner. Okay, now let's talk about pricing. As you're setting up your account, you're gonna have the option to add minimum pricing. To be transparent, my minimum in this system is gonna be $10,000 for a dedicated video and $2,000 for a short. The reason for that pricing in my case is because I've been making videos for 9 years and I've done a lot of brand deals, I've done a lot of affiliate marketing, things like that, and I deeply understand the long-term value that a video can have on YouTube. Video content is extremely powerful for driving sales and bringing awareness to things that people otherwise wouldn't know that much about. Now, once you connect your account, which I'm gonna show you how to do that and give you some other information about your media kit here in just a second, it's important to note that there is a box that pops up and it gives you information on your minimum pricing, and it also tells you this. Brand Connect deals include 6-month content usage on YouTube and other platforms. So all that stuff I was saying before about the music that you're using and things like that, and adding additional money because the content licensing, all of those things are really important in this scenario, because if they can take your content and they can use it in whatever way they want, essentially for 6 months, then one, they're getting a heck of a deal because they don't have to pay somebody to make the content. I mean, not any real money anyway, not a production house to make it, but it puts you at risk if you don't have those commercial licensing, because if you hand it off to them and then they have problems because of it, guess who that's gonna ripple back down to? You guessed it, you. So again, be careful about the assets that you're using when it comes to the content that you're putting together for Brand Connect. Now, if you look farther down in that box, they are asking for your minimums, but it's optional. So if you have no idea where to start with it blank, and then see what brands are gonna offer you, and then decide on if that's too little or too high, and then make your adjustments from there on your minimums. Or you can set it in advance for what you feel it's worth to make a dedicated video or a short on your channel. The reason it's important to make sure that you're just thinking about what it's worth for you to make it is because if you look at my example of me doing a $10,000 minimum on a long form video, some people are gonna look at that and they're gonna be like, oh my gosh, how's he charging so much? Other people are gonna look at that and say, oh my gosh, Nick's crazy. Why is he letting it go for such a small price? But for me, that's fine for one video for a company that I might not ever work with again. However, if you do decide to set it in advance, I just encourage you to consider these things in your pricing. First, it's important to know, just in case you don't, that you can promote products that you think are a good fit for your audience using affiliate marketing and make money on those videos for years to come. In some cases, those videos will drive you a lot more revenue long-term compared to the amount of money that you would get on a brand deal video now. I have a video explaining this concept in detail. I'll link it at the top of the screen. But if you already promote things on your channel, either affiliate products or your own products, or you're driving people into like crowdfunding or something like that, then there's also an opportunity cost for every video that you publish for someone else, and therefore that should also be considered into your pricing. When pricing, you also want to consider the strength of your brand if you have one. And if you're still building up and you don't have a strong brand yet, that's perfectly fine, but this information is important for you for your future. Because brand deals are not always about clicked link conversions. In some cases, it's about association or awareness. And if you have a strong brand around your channel, your recommendations carry weight. The association of you using and or recommending a product also carries a lot of weight. For example, if you've been watching my videos for any amount of time and I've recommended something to you, you've already found out how good those things are. Because of that, next time that I recommend something, you're more likely to take my recommendation because you know that I recommend good stuff. It might not be in that moment that you click the link, but let's say that down the road, if you're not already live streaming, you decide to start live streaming. In that particular case, you know that I use and recommend Streamyard. Because of that, if you decide to start live streaming because you get that awareness from me and interacting with my content, if you decide to start live streaming, there's a good chance that you're going to go to their website and check it out and see if it's a good fit for what you're trying to do. As I'm sure you can imagine, these associations over time can be very powerful and valuable to the brands. The next thing to consider when pricing is what's it worth to you? This is an important thing to consider because for some content creators, being able to add an extra $200 or $300 a month to what it is that you're doing is a big deal and would make a significant impact on your life. And for some of you YouTube ballers out there, you might not even notice if an extra $1,000 or $500 went into your account until it came time to do your accounting for the month. That's why it's important to think about what it's worth to you, regardless of all of the things about what you should do. But if you want to squeeze everything you can out of this opportunity that we have as being content creators, leave it blank. See what brands will offer you and then start figuring it out from there, because that's a great starting point. They're going to tell you exactly what it is that they think what you're doing is worth, with a little bit of a discount attached because of course they're trying to win in that situation. But once they offer you the deal, you could accept it and just do the thing, or you could use that as information and not do the deal, but then start adding that type of information to your minimum pricing. Just remember to make sure that everything that you are promoting is a good fit for the people that you're reaching with your content so that they can get the most out of it, the brand can get the most out of it, and then you can get the most out of it and hopefully get to work with those brands again. And regardless of the approach you're gonna take, remember the videos that you do with brand deals attached to them, they're gonna live on YouTube for a really long time. This video here was published in 2014 and still gained an extra 3.6 thousand views over the last 365 days, 8 years later. So if you're new to all of this, please don't discount the long-term value of what it is that you're creating or yourself as a creator, because as your channel grows, you're also gonna bring a lot more attention to these videos as well over time. Now let's go to the computer. I'm gonna show you really quickly how to set up Brand Connect because it doesn't take that long, and I'm going to give you some quick tips about the media kit that YouTube is going to show the potential brands that are going to be reaching out to you. So it's important that you stick around for that part. First, click on the Earn tab in the left navigation in your Creator Studio, then click on Brand Connect in the top navigation. Once you do that, read through all of the terms and then put in your name, email, and company name, if you have one, in the boxes and click Accept. Next, choose your minimum pricing or leave it blank. Just remember the things that we discussed about this part and then click Done. Once you do that, you'll now be in the Brand Connect area where you'll see a few blue boxes pop up that tell you where to find specific things. Next, click on View Media Kit. This area is what you'll send to brands if they request it. I'm not sure if brands in Brand Connect will see this by default or not, but either way, here are some things to keep in mind. First, the top of your About Me page is featured here. Make sure that you have a sentence at the top that explains what you do on your channel. Next, if you don't have any sponsored videos on your channel, this area can't have anything. But if you do, put some videos here that you think best represent what you can do for a brand. In the featured videos, if possible, put videos where you talk about products, even if it's not sponsored, so they can see an example of how you might talk about them. In the Audience Interest tab, you can click on the 3 dots and choose information about your audience's interests if you disagree with what YouTube says they are interested in. Further down, under Shopping Interests, you can do the same, but here, you can also put things that you would like to talk about. For example, mine was supposed to be updated with camera-related things, but for whatever reason, it just didn't save. So on that note, before you come into this area to export it as a PDF, make sure that the info is still as you set it before you export it. And double check the PDF once you download it. At the bottom, your channel links and email addresses will appear here. Just in case someone shady is reaching out to you, make sure the email that you have listed is not the same email that is connected to your YouTube account. This is just a quick security measure. You can add or change this email address on your About Me page in your customization settings. Now you're good to go in your media kit. Now, in addition to brand deals, you can make a lot of money as a content creator. And one of those that I mentioned earlier in this video is through affiliate marketing. Click in this video right here to see exactly how affiliate marketing works and how you can use it to make more money as a creator. Go ahead and click on that now, and I'll see you in the next video. Hey man, I thought you said I was gonna be in your next video. The next one maybe, I was in a hurry for this one.